Welcome to Burn the Ship,
Thanks.
where we help connect entrepreneurs and professionals together in the small business world. We started this over COVID, really just because you couldn't get in front face to face, and our industry is super face to face industry where we gotta see people and meet people because you're not gonna do business with somebody you don't know
Right.
or like.
Right, that's true.
But also, without further ado, you can introduce yourself.
I'm Davida Vaughn. I am a licensed professional counselor in Tennessee, Texas, and Georgia.
Okay.
And so I have a fully virtual practice. I'm 100% online, and I see adults and adolescents.
Okay.
and couples.
Okay. So let's tell me a story. Kind of what led you into that direction? Kind of where'd you start and how'd you get to where you are now?
Sure. Where did I start? So I'm from Philadelphia,
Okay.
and very stereotypically Philadelphian.
Go
Okay.
Eagles.
Go Eagles, right? And I think seeing what I saw, experiencing what I did coming up is sort of what led me to be curious about the human mind
Okay.
and to understand why people are how they are, why they do
Absolutely.
what they do. But I kind of derailed. Actually, started my undergraduate at an all-girls school in a suburb of Philadelphia. As a communications major, I wanted to be a journalist.
Okay.
I write poetry, and I thought, oh, I'm gonna
That's awesome. Yeah, that's super interesting.
do that. And then along the way, again, so 9/11 happens,
Okay.
and I watched all these people I was in school with, and my family, my friends respond,
Mm-hmm.
and that is sort of what really turned the page for me.
Okay.
Because even my own response, I didn't understand. I didn't know. I don't know those people.
Mm-hmm.
Why am I so upset? Or
Yeah.
I don't understand. I never thought of myself as patriotic per se.
Mm-hmm.
And so anyway, I changed my mind. I think in that moment, but I didn't educationally pursue it
Okay.
until I was in the military. So I served in the military for 5 years. I'm
That's
an
awesome.
Air
What
Force
branch?
veteran, Air Force.
Oh, sweet. That's awesome.
And so that's when I really finished my degree and my undergraduate, and then I got my master's in EDS and got licensed and all that.
So how long you been doing that now?
Oh, 8 years maybe?
8 years. Enjoyed it?
No, I've been in Georgia for 2 years.
Okay. How long have you? I guess where'd you start originally?
As a therapist? Or
Yeah, as a
in life?
therapist. As a
Oh.
therapist.
I started as a therapist in Tennessee. That was where my first practice was.
Okay.
I did my practicum and internship and all those hours in a different state, and then I moved to Tennessee. I hung my first shingle there.
That's awesome. That's
Yeah.
awesome. So and then you said you're licensed in multiple different states. So
Mhm.
you just now you have your home base here in Duluth.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Yeah.
that's the only location you have now.
Well, because it's virtual, I
Yeah,
don't. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's
So
awesome.
it's just me in an office.
That's awesome. All right. So I got a question for you. So what exactly would you say that you did really well when you first started?
When I first started,
Yeah. What'd you do really well?
I maintained humility.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Can you elaborate a little bit?
I think it's really easy to feel super confident
Okay.
when you've got a degree behind you, and I had excellent education, excellent training, and so I think that I was starting to feel a little puffed up.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
had lots of good evaluations and reviews and stuff.
1,000%. I
And
can relate
then-
to that.
Yeah, and then my first client was a psychologist. Now I'm a master's level clinician, right?
Mhm.
And this person walks in, and they needed help, and suddenly my bubble burst.
And you were like, dang, this person's got a lot to do with the brain. Why do they need to come to me for this
Exactly.
help? Okay.
And then I also I think I did that really well in the way of acknowledging that I needed as much as I was giving. I've kind of been made a helper, if you will. So
Okay.
I'm always kind of pouring out.
Yeah.
And part of humility is acknowledging our limitations and knowing I can't give all the time,
Yeah.
or I can't give so much of myself all the time.
No, 1,000%. That's super useful because me and him we're both ex-college athletes. I can definitely, the humility part, I definitely had to learn that through time because, as a young guy, when you walk on campus, you're like, oh, I'm
Yeah.
going to play right away.
Mm-hmm.
And you get there and you're like, everybody's better than me or just as good as me. Like,
It's
I
true.
got to figure it out.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I
definitely can relate to that a
imagine.
ton. Yeah, for
Mhm.
sure.
Especially when you work really hard to
Exactly.
be.
Yeah.
the best
Yeah.
in whatever context you're in, and then you leave that context, you're not the best anymore, right?
Yeah. And then
you're amidst the best in other ways.
how many clients would you say you see, like, per se monthly?
Oh, monthly. My caseload currently is about 26.
Okay. Reoccurring people like you.
Depends on motivation and their needs, but sure. Sure. I have like 15 that I see every week.
Okay, I got you. Yeah, and then so what would you say that you didn't do so well when you first started and went out on your own? Like what would you say that you struggle with as an entrepreneur? Bless you.
Oh, as an entrepreneur, not even when I first started, even till this day, one of the things I struggle with is presence.
Okay.
I am not a social media person.
I was about to say I looked you up and I couldn't find no
Couldn't find
social
me.
media. I
I
was like, where's she at? No.
I have a LinkedIn.
I know that was my last.
You know, I struggle because I'm a creative, I'm expressive, I'm all these things, but it really was difficult for me, especially in the beginning. Establishing your professional identity is very important, right?
Yeah.
People call it a brand
1000%.
today,
Yeah.
but to me, it's much more than that because my job is the soul and the heart of a person. So a brand is so superficial.
Absolutely.
Right? It's a logo and a title and some color. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So for me, I really wanted there to be something very, very real and authentic about how I identified it professionally.
And I can appreciate that. And I feel like a lot of people in your industry don't appreciate what they do like it sounds like you do.
I really do. I love what I do. And it's hard, but I love what I do.
Absolutely.
And I just arrived at what a brand looks like for me.
Okay.
Because as a professional, I diagnose, assess, and treat mental illness. And not every counselor does, because not every counselor can. Depends on your license, but all of my license afford me that ability. But I'm also a believer. I believe in Jesus. I am very open about that. I have no problem saying so.
Absolutely.
But that's my personal identity, right? So if you or he walked into my office, I don't want there to be a barrier between our ability to work together
because of my personal beliefs and yours.
my beliefs and yours. Or when in the beginning I was very confused about how to be me while also not marking myself as a Christian therapist, or not marking myself as a Black therapist or a Black business owner, or all the things that our identities kind of lend themselves to.
Absolutely.
So I had to figure out how to do that, how to be myself while also allowing everyone else to be themselves.
That's awesome.
And I figured it out.
I like that. Yeah, that's awesome. That is awesome. So that's what you've struggled with the most. The people can really appreciate that, especially just because you're, like you said, the humility, and then you've came through, and now you not a brand. I haven't really heard it be put in those contexts before, and that kind of resonates with me a little bit, because a lot of people do try to do that. They're either too Christian, or they're putting their beliefs up front, or they're putting their politics in front, and it does, like I guess you say, make it business less attractive to some people. Sure. Which is absolutely.
Yeah, that's not my goal. I mean, my goal is I accept everyone. I want to help as many people as I can. I mean, of course, I can't help everybody with everything. I don't have that skill, but I do want to be as helpful as I can, and I never want someone to think, oh, she's too Black, she's too female, she's too Christian, she's too whatever. Yeah. Granted, I can't control that either, but I did my best to, and have done my best, I think, to make my clients feel welcome and invited.
I feel like that's a big thing in your industry too. You got to make sure that they feel comfortable with you. Sure. It's a comfort level. I guess everything in life is essentially not just your industry, but everything you do in life. Yeah. Kind of comfort level. People won't leave the house because they don't get comfortable. Like
that's right.
They won't go see their friends. Hey, let's all go out on Thursday. And let's go get a bite to eat. That's right. And then they don't show up. They're like, I didn't feel like it. Yeah.
And I've been on the other side of the room. I've been somebody's client, somebody's patient, and I can tell you.
We ain't always doing as good as we think we are.
That part, but also, when you come into, you were a professional athlete, right? Or college
athlete, yeah.
I think that's.
I wish I was professional.
It's professional to me because I'm not an athlete at all. So, what sport did you play?
Baseball.
Okay. So, and what, you both played baseball?
Played basketball.
Basketball. You look like a baller, actually. I can see that on you. But okay, so you walk onto a baseball field.
Absolutely.
Okay. And you have other baseball players. Maybe they play the same position as you.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they have the same stats as you.
1,000%. Yeah.
So you walk in and you're like, hey, I'm here for guidance
Mm-hmm.
on how to play baseball. And they look at you and they say, bro, we have the same stats. We have the same training. We have the same. You already know what to do,
Mm-hmm.
right? That's exactly what it's like as a therapist trying to get therapy.
Huh.
Exactly what it's like.
So they look
You
at you a
already
little
know.
different?
Oh, heck yeah.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Especially because coming from people that are supposed to be helping people, like,
Mm-hmm.
especially in your own industry.
Yeah.
Some people need help. It's okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Everybody needs somebody to talk to every once in a while.
Mm-hmm. And I think it's reasonable in the sense that, a black person sees a black person. The assumption is this kind of underlying sort of nonverbal agreement is that we understand each other, right? And so it's no different professionally. I feel like if you come into your office and you see all the people you work with, you all understand each other, right? And you have a sort of nonverbal, uncommunicated, like normal story.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, 1,000%. I like that. I like your perspective.
Oh, thanks.
I do a lot. I do a lot. So, what the illusion "burn the ship" comes from?
The illusion what?
Burn the ship. That's the name of our podcast.
You mentioned it to me, something about ships on the Spanish.
Yep, I got
Something?
you. Yeah, yeah. In case you were,
Sorry.
Hernan Cortez landed in Central America, and he made the crew disassemble all their ships. Their fleet of ships, however many it was at the time, probably 5, 6, 7, maybe 15. I don't really know at that point in time, but they break them down and pull them on the beach, and they let them on fire to symbol to his people, like, we're gonna make it work here. We're not going back. So what was it kind of like to jump off? Because I know, you had our talk before, but what was it like to go from that corporate world to jumping off and burning the ship?
Yeah, man. It was fun, scary.
That's the most common I hear.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny because I've burned the ship more than once. I was in private practice, and this was years ago, and my caseload plummeted. It's like the sun came out, people felt better, which is awesome. Like, I want people to fire me, right? I want you to never need me again. But you have to keep the lights on,
paid.
right? And so I freaked out, and I started working for the VA, but I wasn't built to work for other people, and I know that about myself. I'm very much an entrepreneur, very much like deeply. I have to be growing and dreaming all the time.
1,000%.
So I burned the ship in both directions, if that makes sense. Like, I gave up my practice for the false sense of security that being an employee brings, that W-2, brother, listen, right? It gives you this sense of like, okay, I'm good. But there was always this itch inside of me, like, no, I need to be doing what I love to do, and I need to be doing it on my own terms.
Absolutely.
And so I jumped ship again.
What got you to jump the ship, though? I know you were thinking about it.
Of course, I was sitting in this cubicle, just despising my everyday. And then, I think really what did it was, I think we all have a right to live out what we dream. And for me, that is very important. When I found myself, I can't speak for other people, but when I found myself in a corporate environment, specifically working as a director, doing these things, I found myself feeling suffocated, like I had put on someone else's body and someone else's suit,
Okay.
and had to go live that out.
Okay.
I didn't feel like I was being myself at all. And as much as I tried to be, because branding, right? That's who I am, essentially. But it just was too difficult. It was too hard. I had to navigate the things that the corporate environment, particularly the startup environment, I had to navigate things that introduces in ways that were counter to what I value and who I am. Okay, yeah, that's awesome. So that really is what did it for me. I said, okay, I'm going to go back into private practice, and I'm going to stay there because and I want to grow it. I have vision, I have dream for it, right? But even if it's always just me behind a computer in an office, as long as I'm doing what I love on my terms. You're happy with that? Yeah. That's awesome. It kind of, I was listening to a little podcast this morning, and a guy said,
you probably could relate to this. I'm not sure if you can or not, but we'll see.
Mm-hmm.
But he was like, you go from being in the driver's seat of your life to you could be in the passenger seat, just watching your life go by.
Mm-hmm.
You're living it, but you're not truly
Sure.
controlling what's going on,
Mm-hmm.
and you're kind of feeling hopeless instead of controlling the actions that are happening.
Yeah.
Cause and effect type thing,
Mm-hmm.
which is super awesome. But yeah, that's the episode of Burn the Ship. And you want to tell the people where to find you?
Sure. Find me at home from the comfort of your home. Who am I looking at? What am I looking at?
This
This
one right
thing?
here. This one right here.
I knew that. You can find me at davidavaughnlpc.com. I am not on social media. I'm so sorry, but I am a phone call away. So you can reach me at 470-524-2019. Come see me.
Thank you. Burn the Ship.